When I started the race, I did not do that well because in qualifying I only managed to get 15th. However, throughout the race, not much happened at the start. The first DNF was Pierre Gasly on lap 3. He just started slowing down and eventually he just had to stop. The second DNF happened to this car, Giuliano Alesi, during lap 4. So yeah, just only 2 DNFs in the first 4 laps, which is not up to my usual standards of destruction, but you can just watch, because all that happens is he just drives along for a bit, and then he's just forced to stop. Here's where he goes out. I still don't understand how he goes out though, because he's just driving along and then suddenly he just stops. His engine must malfunction really badly. But he's just slowed down to a stop. After the 2 on lap 4, we had to wait until lap 8 until more DNFs happened. As I was saying, after the 2 on lap 4, we had to wait until lap 8 until more DNFs happened, with that of Lance Stroll. Here he is in front of my driver, and then you can't really see what happened. So I've gone to the TV pod camera to show you that all that happens is he just falls into the wall. Sorry about that, the camera stopped recording. Anyway, lap 9 we have Yuki Tsunoda getting DNF'd, where he just hits the wall and then is out the race. If we go in his car to see what's going on, we see that he just hits the wall, and that's the end of that. He's also hit again. Next up we have Nikita Mazepin. He drives along and then just hits with my driver car and then just drifts across the road. We also get to see my driver car nearly end another couple of cars. Next up is a DNF 4 laps after the last one, which also is pretty good, is like Max Verstappen's, and having qualified in 17th so Max Verstappen is already having a very bad day, as he qualified 17th in his home Dutch race. But then he also DNFs in it, so I'll just wait for that to happen and show you it. So he's driving along and then he just bashes up. I'll show you it in a different angle now. Inside his cockpit we can see he's driving along nicely, and then suddenly he's knocked into, nearly hits the wall, and then he's shoved, which causes his engine to malfunction. A couple of seconds after Max Verstappen DNFs, we are watching George Russell here, and we're driving along with him. And then where he was, well, Russell just hits Latifi's back, which is where Max was. 3 laps later, we now have Antonio Giovinazzi's DNF. We drive along with him just after a safety car's ended, and Krablaui. And seconds later, we also have Leclerc. I've gone back a bit before Antonio goes out to show us, but we see Antonio's jet out and then he's out. If we watch from his side cockpit, we see Antonio go out in the distance and then his tyre is removed. 3 laps after that double DNF session, we will also have Latifi's DNF. So Nicholas Latifi is driving along the front straight, and now I'll pause the video and then I'll oh, never mind. I was guessing I had caused it, but nope, he just has an engine malfunction. Next up we will have Guan Yu Zhou's DNF, which also happens around the same time as Daniel Ricciardo's, although Daniel Ricciardo isn't instantly out. He's the one with the wing. I'm the one with no wing, by the way, for my teammate and me. So as we drive along, we're having a very jolly drive, and then he's overtaken by both of us after trying to overtake us both again. But then he's able to overtake, but then you're probably wondering what's happened there. And what happens is that I come across him, which causes us all to smoke up dirt, and he jump over my teammate, which causes my teammate to take much of damage and he gets whacked. As for what my teammate sees, it's this. And while he does have the other car go over him, he doesn't DNF almost instantly. He's able to keep on going, but then hits these cars after Alonso gets DNF'd out of the session, which causes his car to get really badly damaged and causes him to hold up the entirety of the F1 grid, apart from Perez here. While Daniel Ricciardo was DNF'd, he also caused a safety car to start, which also meant that nobody could actually really overtake the DNF'd Fernando Alonso, which meant that he just caused a massive hold-up, which happened while he was still there. It just kept coming on until eventually I, who started in 15th, was able to get myself through and we did first, while everyone else started trying to overtake. However, it still didn't work until Ocon and a couple of others managed to get past, meaning Fernando Alonso had moved down the grid order. And eventually, Daniel Ricciardo finally was DNF'd. After nearly another lap, he was DNF'd after his engine finally imploded. Though I did also I just kept trying to knock out Norris here, as well. If he managed to win, he would overtake Daniel. But then eventually Daniel was DNF'd. Which did take some time, but it did eventually happen. Next up on the DNF'd agenda is Valtteri Bottas. And while I had already lapped him, I just felt like I didn't really want him to finish. I wanted Hamilton to finish, and Hamilton did in third. But I just didn't really want Valtteri to finish, so I just left him in the wall. The next person to be DNF'd was Perez, who had actually managed to avoid getting lapped by me a little bit after this, but it still didn't stop him from being one of many cars to be DNF'd while I had lapped many people. If I just skip forward a bit. We see he gets DNF'd here, which happens just as he's trying to unlap himself. After many laps of trying to DNF Norris, I finally managed to do it on lap 28. And there I removed his wing, which would make the job easier, but the real thing happened later on in the lap. It happened earlier than I remembered. It happened right here. I just accidentally clip him, and he loses his tyre. But anyway, I just realised I didn't actually knock him out. He just drives straight into me, just like Perez on the last race. The final car to DNF in the race was here, Sebastian Vettel, with 2 laps to go, or 3 laps to go in the race. First of all, he comes off the track here. And when he goes out, it's in here as he whacks the wall and is out the race. Only 4 cars actually managed to finish the race, and those cars were me, James Tattersall, Mick Schumacher, Lewis Hamilton, and the final car was Carlos Sainz, who was a lap down, so he didn't actually have any chance of getting on the podium. But still, it was my first win in a while, and for my final lap I did have to do a lot of defending against Mick Schumacher. At one point even going off the track in my defence. Though because only Sainz was behind us, he did manage to unlap himself. But while I did get a lead after I'd accidentally knocked Mick off, it didn't really help. Well, it did help, but not very much, as he still managed to catch up. As we went along here. And as we got round to the final turn, you can see that he tries to overtake, and so we hit the wall in my defense, and that managed to help me increase my lead in the Drivers' Championship and help my team get into first in the Constructors. I just realised that I forgot to say how many cars actually managed to finish the race, so I'll just quickly show you. The number of cars that managed to finish the race was only 4 cars finished the race. So Pierre Gasly being the first, to DNF, and Vettel being the last. Also, this is the most accurate I could get the data, just because this is after Sainz has finished. So yeah.